Alright, so as a lot of you know, I used to have this thing where I checked the power levels of my decks and I called it, what is my power level? It's pretty straightforward, but unsatisfactory. And then I went on to, is this deck fair? Again, straightforward, unsatisfactory, because fair is open to interpretation, wildly open to interpretation. So then I went on to, is this deck for Prague or Ostruzna? And what that means is, so Prague, where I play pretty much every week, every Thursday the lads and I pop down to the local pub, we get together, anywhere from 2 to 5 or 6, one night we had 6 actually, recently. Rare occurrence, but does happen. And it's pretty laid back. Cube is starting to trigger an arms race if he keeps pushing his Eldrazi bullshit. He recently got the new Lamog, and if he puts that in his deck and he uses it, then I'm going to have to ramp up in order to deal with that kind of thing. So I need to talk to him about that. I need to talk to him about restraint, because he doesn't really have any. He runs Curiosity into the combo one of his decks, and he feels no guilt whatsoever about using it to end the game on the spot. Granted, he's only done that once, but it makes it so it's something we have to think about. So we have to either take him out early, or we have to have decks with the ability to counter bullshit like that. It's an interesting time. But anyway, generally, the lads play a lot of pre-con decks, and they're the good pre-cons. They're not like the shitty ones from even 3 or 4 years ago. My Lord of the Rings Frodo and Sam pre-con can't keep up with it anymore. It's fun to play. Oh my god, is Frodo and Sam fun to play? But it doesn't really win. It just dirtles. It's just fun. I'm just making food and tokens. It's great, but it doesn't win. But that's the environment. So I build my decks for Prague. I build most of my decks for Prague so they can't be too oppressive. They can't be too combo-y. I have to restrain myself. And in most cases, I do a pretty good job of that. For example, that's why I did not build Tulane, because Tulane would steamroll the lads in Prague, absolutely wreck them the way I would build it. And people say, well, just don't build it that way. Well, that would be the whole reason to build the damn deck, is that way. So that's Prague. Then there's Ostruzna. Ostruzna, the lads there are hardcore. They combo like mad. They have no restraint. Whatever the best cards they can afford for the deck are what they'll use. It's a completely different environment. For example, Kenrith, which is kind of dominant in Prague, can't keep up in Ostruzna. Kestia, which sometimes she hurdles, sometimes it can't get going, but when she does, she does. She can't get going in Ostruzna either. They just don't keep up. So those are the two environments are in. What I'm doing is I'm separating my decks, my collection. I've got 20 commander decks, including the 2 Lord of the Rings precons, which will never go to Ostruzna unless they told me they bought new precons and it's going to be unmodified precon night. So to date, Azami is for Ostruzna, and I'm trying to make her even hardcore, more hardcore for that environment. Animar can compete in Ostruzna, but he's built for Prague. If I played him in Ostruzna, I'd just swap in the ancestral statue, so I've got my super mindless infinite combo. Aurelia is not for Prague, or not for Ostruzna. She's not fast enough. She's just fast enough for Prague. Edgar Markov, same thing. He kicks ass in Prague. If you let me get going, he's going to steamroll you. But in Ostruzna, nope, no traction, not really. I might take somebody out, but I will not win the game. So that brings me to Edric, Spy Master of Trust. Edric is a deck I've had for a long, long time. One of my oldest commander decks. And one of the fewest changes. I haven't really changed him much over the years at all. You'll see some newer cards, but not that many. Right, so what have we got? One blue, 1 green for a 2/2 elf rogue. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, its controller may draw a card. So he draws you cards, and he encourages your opponents to smash each other so they can get cards. They smash you, they don't get shit. No cards for you. Try again. Oh, next turn you're attacking him. Okay, you can get cards, you attack him. Smash him. Do it. Do it. Go! And the way I built my deck is resilient. So he's very resilient, relies on a suite of different small creatures. My friend Yuji, he's got an Edric Spymaster Trust deck it's pretty much tribal elves. I think he told me, if I'm not mistaken, the only blue card in the deck is Edric himself. Everything else is green and elves and artifacts. Which has led to instances where he doesn't find the blue quickly enough to cast Edric. And his is a glass cannon. If you can wipe the board and wipe out his initial waves, he has great difficulty recovering. I built my deck to be more resilient, to be able to recover, more tricky. So let's get to it. And I think Edric, he's strong in Prague. He can stand up in Prague, but because it's all small creatures, I don't feel like I'm doing anything unfair. I'm not doing a combo. I'm just smashing small creatures and playing some control elements. Although there's a card in here that the lads hate, and I'll show you. The genie complains about it bitterly every time he sees it, but there's a reason it's in there. And Ostruzna, I believe Edric's control elements, protection elements, would allow me to hold my own there. But let's get to it. I'll only highlight the things that are really interesting. Well, Thalicos Deceiver. He's near the top of the mana curve for this deck, but he's got Shadow, unblockable. And if somebody has a creature that's more interesting than he is, I can sacrifice him if he's not blocked, and he's got Shadow, so he won't be, and steal that creature. Cyclonic Rift. This is my only copy of Cyclonic Rift, my single copy. I've had it for years, a long time. I got it in a trade over 10 years ago, foil, and I just left it in Edric. I don't have one in any other decks. Genie, on the other hand, he's got 3 across his decks, and he complains about the shit I do, and he's got all these Cyclonic Rifts. Yep. It's all subjective. Sylvan Safekeeper. Man, this guy is expensive in foil from Judgment. Oh my god. It hit, I think it was kissing 200 euros. Now I think it's back down to about 110 because it got reprinted in Commander Horizons 3. But he's pretty cool. 1/1/1, sack a land, target creature control, can't be, it gets Shroud. Sack a land, get something Shroud. No tap him, no spend mana, no bullshit, just sack lands. Just eat your lands and get things Shroud. I put her in here to be funny. So I've got ways to make her unblockable, and then I get 1 card, or if she gets blocked, if I don't have that way to make her unblockable, I get 3 cards. Yes, she'll die, but I would get 3 cards. So it is what it is. Maybe they'll just let it through, so I only get 1 card. That's basically the option. Okay, if you block her, then I get 3 cards. If you let it through and take 1 damage and Edric's in play, I only get 1 card. Which is better for you? Choices. Seedborn Muse. Let's talk about her in a minute. Forest. Manadork. Glendolan Archmage. Flying Counterspell. Yeah, near the top of the mana curve. Burgeoning. I'm going to be drawing a number of cards in this deck, and I want ways to get my lands into play. 1 for Sylvan Safekeeper. 2 because I'll need more lands because sometimes they won't be on tapping. You'll see why. So whenever an opponent plays a land, I can drop a land too. I can join them. Eternal Witness, she comes into play, return target anything from a graveyard to my hand. Yep, I like her. I like her a lot. She's cool. I don't think I have a green deck without one. No. Curador. Curador does not have one because she is not a spirit. I think everybody else does. Reflecting Pool. I'm not even going to pretend that I can pronounce that first word in Deutsch. That the Germans like to take 3 or 4 small words and shove them together into one big word. They're pretty much famous for that. Vattel Edelfin. When they come into play, go find a forest. Doesn't matter what it is. It can be a breeding pool, and drops on the battlefield untapped. Sonnenring. Flooded Grove. I don't play these in 3-color decks anymore because a lot of times I would not have one of the colors I need in order to activate it, in order to filter, and so it just produces colorless, and I need the color. I need it. Give it to me. And the deck says, no, you can't have it. Fuck off. So no more 3-color filters. That Adele Inquisitor Island Walk, when she smashes somebody, I get to go find an artifact they have in their library and steal it. Well, I can play it till end of turn. She doesn't actually steal it, I exile it, and then I can play it until end of turn. So, cool. Capsize! 6 mana. Return target permanent and this card to your hand if it resolves. Of course, if you go to capsize something and they high market it, they get rid of it somehow, the capsize fizzles, goes to your graveyard. Island, survival of the fittest. Choose and discard a creature card. Go find another creature in your library. Show it to everybody. Put in your hand. Shuffle. Signed. Is this recording? I hope this is recording. River Boa. This is funny. I actually play one of these in a vintage deck because 2 of my vintage decks have islands. So Jund has a River Boa just because it's a free shock every turn. So 2 for 2/1 Island Walk Regenerating Snake. Yep. Like I said, when I built this deck, I just picked all kinds of evasion. I want anything anybody has in play, any kind of land, I want something that can walk through it or get around it in order to hit them and draw cards with Edgar. That's the whole idea of the deck. Vincer, Shaper Savant, another card that's overrepresented in my decks. I don't have too many blue decks without one. Somebody on my channel commented that he's no longer as good as he used to be. For me, he is. Flash. Comes to play, return target spell. Oh, I can't counter that spell? Okay, let's put it back in your hand until I can figure out another way to deal with it. I just don't want to deal with it right now. Put it back in your hand. Or permanent to its owner's hand. All for the low price of 4 and 2/2, and he's flashy. You have my hollow? Frostbringer. This is the card Genie hates. This is Winter Orb. So Winter Orb costs 2, and everybody can only untap 1 land each of the turns. I understand why he doesn't like it, but I'm playing a bunch of small creatures. I need to slow people down. I need to stop them from playing big creatures I cannot deal with. So Frostbringer. Of course, if I'm breaking parity by untapping all my permanents during everybody else's untap step, yeah, that's not quite fair, but there's a lot worse things I could be doing. So I've got Seedborn Muse in here, and I've got Frostbringer, and I love it. And it wasn't cheap because of Black Border. Black Border German. Oh my God! You look at the price of Black Border Beta or Alpha. Jesus. Island. Disallow. Nope. That target spell activated ability, triggered ability. No. Colt Agaselki. So she's got Island Walk. Again, I want some land walk. I want ways of getting things through. And when she connects with somebody, she punches my opponent, pokes my opponent. She's only 1/1. I get to draw a card based on her power. So if I can pump up her power, I get more cards. So she's a 2/2 and Edric's in play. That's 3 cards. That's value, baby. That's value. Minamo. Skula am Gestade. So taps 1 blue or blue untap target legendary permanent. Whatever it is. Land, creature, apartment building, whatever is legendary. Lotus Cobra, whenever land enters battlefield in control, I get mana. Allurin. Now here we go. Here we go. So get this down behind a Winter Orb. So Winter Orb locks down everybody's lands, including mine. Unless I've got the Seedborn Muse, which if I play the Orb early, I won't have the Muse, so I'll be locked down too. But if I get this down, so everybody's creatures with CMC 3 or less are free in instants. If Cube is playing Eldrazi, hey, all you guys are kind of big, you can't come to this party. With the Genie, it's kind of hit or miss. You don't know if he's going to have a lot or not. In Edric, I think I only have maybe 8, 10 creatures that are CMC 4 or more. I don't have that many. The idea of the deck is smash people, draw cards, play cards, smash people harder, draw cards, play cards, repeat. I also have this. Whenever one or more creatures control do combat damage to player, tap all lands they control, untap all lands you control. So if Frostbringer's out, Nature's Will is out, all I've got to do is poke somebody from one and I get to untap my stuff. Neat. Essence Warden. Whenever another creature comes to play, you gain 1 life. Not a may. I have to gain the life. I have to. She says, you will gain the life and you will like it or I'll slap you like a bitch. And I say, yes, mommy. Summerwell Dread. Force Walk. Now we're getting into the Force Walk. I showed you some Island Walkers. Now I'm showing you a Force Walker. And the cool thing about the deck is most of these creatures are pretty cheap. Men at Work. Hinterland Harbor. So, artifacts are pissing me off. Edric only has 2 artifacts, one being Frostbringer, the other being Soul Ring. So if I shut off Soul Ring, I really don't care. And you can't shut off Frostbringer. It doesn't have activated ability, so he does good work in this deck. Bifflestam Command Tower. Exploration. Yeah, I need to get those lands down. If I'm drawing cards, some of them are going to be lands. I need to get them in play. Oboro, Palace in the Sky. Taps for 1 blue, or I can spend 1 and put it back in my hand. There's really no reason for this card. There's a couple very extreme niche reasons, but in general, I just like it. I just like the art. I have one, I want to play it, so I play it. So sue me. This is beta. This is my beta script sprites. I play this because I think it's funny to play this little junk beta common, this little 1/1 flyer for 1 green with that really interesting Amy Weber art in this deck. I just like it. I like that Edric goes all the way back to the first year of Magic. Reliquary Tower. Yeah, drawing cards. I'm going to have a lot of cards. I don't want to discard. I don't. Don't make me discard. I have no maximum hand size. Forest. You have my coast. Island. Luther Ilkor. Another Shadow. Another unblockable. When he deals damage to opponent, I get to draw a card and discard a card. So you're seeing the theme. A lot of small creatures, a lot of smash. And I don't think it's oppressive. I don't think it's too oppressive for Prague. And if I can get it going, then it's okay for Ostruzna if I get the control elements. And so far, we've only seen 2 real control elements. We've seen Glendar Archmage, and we've seen Frostbringer. I have other control elements, but not that many. Just enough to get by. Totoko Omazawa, Fugitive. Okay, my creature's power toughness 1 or less can't be blocked. Yeah, get that through. Smash for that damage. Gaia's Schultz, Gaia's Cradle. Tap, add 1 green for every creature you control. Yep, get that stuff down. Island, Forest. This is cool. I love this card. It took me over a year to find it, because I wanted it foil in Russian. This is Yeshin Infiltrator, and I wanted it in Russian so I could say I have a Russian Infiltrator. And it amuses me to no end to play my Russian Infiltrator and smash people. She's unblockable. She's only a 2/2 unblockable. But it took me a long time to find a foil one for sale on Magic Card Market. But I did. Now I have a Russian Infiltrator. Forest. Friction Revoker. This is just kind of in here to be in here. Sometimes he works. Sometimes he smashes and is unblockable because of Tetsuo. And it's cool. Tendershoot Dryad. Okay, I need creatures. I need to pump out creatures. This used to be Deranged Hermit, but Corval needed Deranged Hermit more because he needs the tokens now. Edric can wait. Edric can wait and get 1 every turn. So at the beginning of everyone's upkeep, I get a creature. So when it comes back around to my turn, I should add 2 or 3 extra creatures to attack with. Corvald wants the creatures now so he can eat them. Edric wants them in time to join the next attack party. Plus, by the city's blessing, my saplings get bigger, so she's pretty cool. Kind of the top of the mana curve. Hope of Gear Poor. I hope someday I figure out what to do with this. It's just in here because it's 1 colorless for a 1/1 flyer. So 1 mana for a 1/1 evasion. This whole sacrifice thing, To your next turn, target player's dealt combat damage, can't cast non-creatures. It's never been relevant. Maybe it will be now as our games evolve, but so far it's never been relevant, other than as a 1/1 flyer for 1 mana. Pendelhaven. I can make it a 2/3 flyer if I have Pendelhaven in play. Yep. Yeah, and that's Original Legends. I like the quote, I like the art, I like the feel of it. There's a lot of the old cards I really love. Something on the channel, as things are progressing, some people might notice, all of you are telling me about new cards I don't know about. Cards from Olivia's Wedding and up. Marching Machines, Murder's Card. You keep telling me about new cards, and I'm like, what the hell is that? And I have to look it up. And I feel like I keep telling you all about old cards that you don't know about. So it's symmetrical. It's a fair exchange, I think. Reclamation Stage comes to play, destroy an artifact enchantment. Okay, another creature with evasion. 2 for a 1/1 flashy flyer with protection from blue. Yeah, that's sometimes relevant. Bounce a forest I control to my hand and tap target creature only once per turn. But that's everybody's turn. So if I've got a lot of forest and I need to untap something, I can keep doing it. I just have this in here. I don't use it. On the off chance that I might need to kill a land, it's in here. Dryad Sophisticate, non-basic land walk. Yeah. Dudes are going to be playing every deck has non-basic lands, all of them. Even my Kenrith has 2 non-basic lands. So she's getting through and getting cards to Edric. Forest, Spellstutter Sprite. I've got quite a few fairies. When she comes into play, can target spell with CMC X or less, where X is the number of fairies I control. And she's a flashy flyer. Speaking of flashy flyers, this one doesn't have flash, but it's free. Cloud of Fairies is free. When they come into play, I get to tap up to 2 lands. I can cycle them, but that doesn't seem like a good idea. Beastmaster Ascension. Now, Tuna Green. Whenever a creature control attacks, you may put a quest count. If you attack with 7 creatures at once, bang, there's 7 counters. So, out of nowhere, sometimes, seemingly nowhere because they should kind of know it's coming. So if I have 7 or more creatures, and I play this on my turn in my pre-combat main phase, okay, I go to combat. I attack with 7 creatures. Bang! They all get +5/+5. What the fuck? Yep, here they come. And some of them aren't blockable. Because they have Force Walk and Island Walk and Bullshit Walk. Zorro. She works really good here. It comes down early. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, which with Edric, that happens pretty quickly once I start going to combat. This 6, that's potential. That's possible. My creature is a base power toughness XX, where that's the number of cards in my hand. So this is Man of War. When it comes into play, bounce a creature back to its controller's hand for the low price of 2 and a blue, and you get a 2/2. Island, Forest, Vidillian Clique. I took the Clique out of Azami, but it belongs here because it's 3/1, so 1 toughness. Tatsumo makes it unblockable. Flash, flying, it has some ability that does stuff that I don't care about really because I don't like doing it sometimes. Flying Men. Remember the script sprites? Here's the blue version of that. It's just an old card. Nobody plays it. It's not good. If you notice, if you pay attention, Edric has a lot of creatures that are not good. They're small. They don't really do anything. But with him, if I have enough small creatures with evasion, I'm drawing cards. And then I can make them bigger, then he's a threat. That's the idea. And that's why I think it's fair. And that's why I think it's fair they've got Frostbringer. So Sophia clapped her hands and 20 flying men appeared at her side, each well trained in the art of combat. Summon flying men. Is there a dust or something in there? What's that? Defect of the sleeve, I guess. So Plax Manta. It's an instant. When it comes to play, my creatures gain Shroud. If I don't pay green and blue, I'd sacrifice it. Okay. That's a small price to pay for giving my thing Shroud. Misty Rainforest. Yep, full art foil, nice. Visible Stalker, hexproof, unblockable, 1/1. Yeah, draw me some cards, baby. Ancient Tomb. If I really get a good hand, if I get Ancient Tomb and Frostbringer on turn 1, it's pretty cool. Of course, if I don't start playing other lands, then I just set myself behind. I think I did that once. Earthcraft, tap and untap creature control. I really thought about this. Frostbringer is kind of a central card to the deck, and I thought of a lot of ways to get around it to break the symmetry, to make it asymmetrical. So this helps. 1 in green, enchantment, tap and untap creature control, untap target. So the creatures I play this turn that can't attack, I can still tap them to untap the lands, because it does not give the creatures the ability to tap, untap the land. Earthcraft is giving them the ability, so I can tap them even if they have summoning sickness. Pestermite, flash, flying. When it comes to play, tap her and tap target permanent, and it's a 2/1. It can be unblockable. Counterspell. Your attack has been rendered harmless. It is, however, quite pretty. Sword of Temptation. Comes into play, snatch another creature, 2/2 flyer, so it has evasion. Crop rotation. It's time to play crop rotation, sacrifice a land, search your library for a guy's cradle, and put it into play. Or you have my hollow. Whatever you need, baby. Spontaneous Generation. Here's a card a lot of you probably have never seen. So, unless you saw my Corvold deck, because he has one too. 3 in a green. Put a 1/1 green sapling creature token to play for each card in your hand. So if I've got a full hand, I'm in business. I'm making a bunch of creatures, and they're all going to smash face. Alchemist Refuge. I can guess non-land cards this turn as I had a flash by locking up 1 source of green, 1 source of blue, and tapping this. So it is kind of expensive, but with all the cheap creatures I have in here, why not? Masterwave. Actually, what I said about Tendershoot Dryad is incorrect. She was always in the deck. I'm reminded now because I see Master Waves. Master Waves is what replaced the Deranged Hermit in Edric. So Corvold got Deranged Hermit. Edric got Master Waves. It's not as guaranteed to get 4, but there's more potential upside of getting a whole lot of creatures. So Master Wave comes down. He's a 2/1, so he's unblockable with Tetsuko? That dude. Umezawa. So when Umezawa comes down, if he's in play, Master Waves is unblockable. He's got protection from red. My elementals get bigger, and I get an elemental for each point of devotion to blue I have when he comes into play. So if I've got, say, 8 devotion to blue, bang, I get 8 of these tokens. That's 8 things that can attack, and they'll all be 2/1s. And if Umezawa is in play, they'll be unblockable 2/1s. Score. So he's better than Deranged Hermit, potentially. Much better than Deranged Hermit. Mystic Tank, flash, counter target spell. And then he's a 2/2 snake. Sea Sprite. Here's another card I bet none of you have ever seen. Or some of you. Some of you have never seen this. A few of you have and thought, what kind of bullshit is this? Why would you play that? It's from Homelands. Ugh, Homelands. Oh God, you're disgusting. So yeah, she's from Homelands. 2 for a 1/1 flyer, protection from red. That can be relevant. You might consider her. She's a good card, and she's financially valueless. But in the game, she can be invaluable in the right conditions. Sun Quan, Lord of Hu. So my creature's horsemanship. They can't be blocked except by creature's horsemanship. So I've got another way of getting through. I've got Umezawa, and I've got this dude. This dude is the top of the meta curve. But he works. He works pretty hard. Genesis. My camera's going to time out. Alright. Genesis. So he's at the top of the meta curve, but I kind of expect to throw him in the graveyard with Survival of the Fittest. or just play him out, and I just attack with him relentlessly because I want him to die. I want him to be in the graveyard so I can start returning creatures from my graveyard to my hand. So yeah, if he's in play, I am going to attack with him. I am going to try to get him killed. Unless it looks like he's going to attack me, then I'll keep him as a rattlesnake, and then you won't attack because you don't want to kill him. He's really hard to get killed. Most of my opponents just don't want to kill him. So survival of the fittest is the best plan. Oko, Thief of Crowns. Create a food token. Or turn an artifact creature into an elk. Anybody who played Standard for a couple years ago either loves or hates this card, depending on if you're playing it or playing against it. What is it? Oh, also can change control of the CMC. Food and elks. That's the important bits, and their pluses. Trader and Rider. Sometimes he works. A lot of times he just kind of sits there, but I keep him in the deck anyway for, I've just had him so long, and sometimes he works very, very well. 4 for 1 4 flyer, tap 2 and tap creatures you control. So you tap him and you tap 2 and tap creatures. So you tap 3 creatures and it can bounce target permanent. Doesn't say non-land, so you can start bouncing people's land back. And with Seedborn Muse, if he gets going, that can be ugly. Forest. Biomass meat. I won a game with this once and it was hilarious. I was playing in a 1v1 commander tournament and they let me play Edric. I went there thinking I would just, this is years ago, I went there thinking I would just play some pickup commander games, and they said, yeah, we're having a tournament today. Great. I only brought Edric. Oh, that's fine, you can play him. Okay. So I sat down with my first opponent and I was doing pretty good, and then I had Cradle out, and then I drew Biomass Mutation, and I had about 10-12 creatures. So tap, and they all became 10-10 or 12-12. It's like 3 of them you can't block anyway, so yeah. And it's an instant, so I can use it on the defense too. Oh man, you're attacking me, some big bastards. My creatures are big bastards too. Oh shit, yes. And your creatures are now unstoppably attacking because you've committed to your attack step. Phantasmal Image. Can play as a copy of whatever you want, any creature you want, except when it gets targeted, it dies. Sell, it's cheap. And if you copy something that has an activated, or sorry, not an activated, a triggered ability, like if I copy Master Waves, I get a bunch more elementals. Boomba. Swamp. Hochermacht. High market. Send a creature to the high market. Gain a life. Turagon Predator. I remember when this foil was 20 euros because I paid 20 euros for it. And then it got reprinted. And the price tanked. The price dropped like a stone in the ocean. Just. So I keep it. Because why not? I mean, I still want to play the card. I still like the card. I'll never get my 20 euros back out of it. And it works really well in here. It's a flying, has evasion. When you hit somebody, if Edric's in play, I get a card. And I can blow up an artifact or enchantment. It's a win-win, baby. So that's Edric. That's Edric's Spymaster Trust that I think I can play in both environments, oddly enough. I don't believe I have any other deck that can do that. Maybe Voya. Shroom, no, because I power down Shroom for Prague. As I get through the series, I'll find out. But I think Edric is one of 2 out of 20 decks I can play both in Prague and Ostruzna.